You're listening to the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the place where you, as a dad, will gain more tools for your fathering toolbox, and where moms and daughters are also invited to listen into the conversation. Now, here is your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.
Hello and welcome back to the Dad Whisperer podcast. I'm your host, Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. And if you're a dad who's ready to add more tools to your fathering toolbox, especially as we're in the first month of this new year, then you have come to the right place. I love coming alongside dads, especially girl dads, who are willing to learn, especially from me as a woman, as your coach. And I want you to know that I am a champion of men. I cheer men on from the sidelines, in the trenches. I love being trusted with dads across the country who now allow me to be a coach, walking alongside them into some of the tricky dynamics of their relationships with their daughters. And yet it is such a joy to watch men grow and develop skills, sometimes that they haven't ever learned. But because of your love for your daughter, many of you have been willing to reach out to me and say, okay, come on, be my coach, walk with me into places that I've never been, into my own story, into my inner world, so that out of that, not only do you learn to become a better dad to your daughter, but many of you have noticed that those kind of skills that she has maybe invited you, even led you or pushed you, right, to learn, have actually made you a better man in all areas, more sensitive, more ability to listen, more of a skill set in a more gentle, let's call it that, a more tender, gentle way of doing life. And I see that when you as a man lean into becoming a better dad to your daughter, every area of your life is strengthened. I truly believe that. So you know the grid I use every week, which is simply on your mark, get set, go. So dad, just get a visual in your mind of running around a racetrack. I'm on the sidelines, I'm your coach, cheering you on. You're there with other dads. And I'm simply saying, on your mark, get set, go. On your mark, topic or the theme, get set, going to fill that in with stories and stats. And go is always your practical action step to put your love for your daughter, even your sons, into action. And this is now officially my 10th year here at the Dad Whisperer. Started as radio, now it's podcast only. And it has been a joy now for a decade to come into your homes, to come into your hearts, men, and to cheer you on. I encourage you to keep sharing this with your friends, with other dads you know. Even if you want to ever support this ministry, I'm telling you, reach out. We will continue that conversation. But at the end of the day, I'm doing this because my passion is to see healthier women in this country. And the research confirms that the more she feels connected to her dad, the stronger, healthier, more resilient she will be. So that's why I love investing in you as dads, because I truly want to see healthier women across the country. Well, on your mark today, I'm simply calling this here at the beginning of the year, be the first to lead in love and the first to forgive. So this is all about how to be the first and what does that mean to be the first. I'm going to give you 21 ways that you can be the first in her life, be the man and the dad you want to be. And we're going to get off to the races here. So be the first to lead in love and the first to forgive. Okay, now for get set. So at the beginning of the year, to kind of state the obvious, we're all setting our gaze, aren't we? We're setting our intention as we look ahead this year to what do we want in our own life? What are our goals? Maybe you're a New Year's resolution guy. To be honest with you, I'm not really wired that way. I think I'm just such that I like having goals all across the year. And it's, again, great if you like them, great if you don't. Meaning goals. But at the end of the day, I want to give you practical action steps or mindset goals that you can have that set your intention for this next year. So if that lines up with something you want, we're going to have a great conversation today because I'm going to challenge you and hopefully even inspire you to take action in this way of thinking about what does it mean to be the first? The reason I called it To Lead in Love is because, first of all, I want to equip you as a dad to lead. That's why even in my book, Let's Talk, Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters, the whole thing is about how you as a dad can be a leader. I have lead your daughter to love, lead her to listen and lament and look and laugh. I mean, it's all about you, though, as her dad taking a leadership position. And I know sometimes you as dads have opened up to me that you feel a bit beat up, like you can't ever get it right, or maybe there's divorce and you feel like you've been marginalized or misrepresented. And often then it's hard to step up as a leader, to be the first. But I want to challenge you here at the start that being a leader, being first, is something you can do even if the bridge between you and your daughter is not strong right now, because what you do, I truly believe behind closed doors, has everything to do with impact into the lives of your daughter and your son. So here at the beginning of the year, here's this concept of what does it look like to be the first? Well, I've told you before, I'm a firstborn. So there's that word first in there. I loved being a firstborn. I got to be the first one to have certain experiences, the first one to drive, the first one to date. But then sometimes it wasn't so fun being the first because it meant I was the first to get in trouble. I was the first to be told I needed to lead the example, to my sisters. And so sometimes, right, being the first as a leader isn't always maybe the most fun or easy, but there's so much of it that I actually am wired by God to love when it comes to being a firstborn. I like the first opportunities. I like to be the first in line. I like to be the first to answer a question. Often, when I'm even doing continuing ed, does anyone have a thought about that? And oftentimes in a room, I will be one of the first, maybe not always the first, to answer a question. Sometimes, especially because I'm a speaker, I love it when I have an engaged audience. So I have no problem raising my hand, speaking up in a group. I love to lead from the front, whether I've in the past done worship leading or I've been in a band or playing the piano, to lead out in a way that lets others follow. And then even as a speaker. So this idea of being first is something that is a core value for me. And so that's why this is a really fun conversation to have with you here, because you may be wired the same. And the question I want you to ask yourself here at the front of this conversation, Dad, is how are you doing in leading the way in being first? And I'm going to break that down now here with some really practical ways for you to evaluate what kind of leadership do you have in your daughter's life when it comes to being the first. Now, again, welcome to my planet. I got a lot of words on the front end before I give you these 21 ways that you can be the first, to also not only tell you about me as a firstborn, but then to think about how important firsts are for us as women. In fact, a great question you could even ask your daughter this week in a text or maybe one-on-one if you take her on a dad-daughter date, is you could ask her questions like, tell me about your first crush. Tell me about the first boy that you ever liked. I mean, I could tell you right now, mine was in kindergarten, not even first grade. There's another one you could say, tell me about first grade. Great question, right? To just open up a conversation of walking down memory lane. But asking her, who was your first crush? No doubt she will remember the answer to that question. It's not just frozen in time, but usually we as girls can easily remember our first crush, first kiss, first dance, first prom, first breakup. Like those firsts are filed away for most of us. You and your daughter could have a whole dad-daughter date night or day or breakfast whenever you go and just have it be about firsts. Like that could be a theme in your time together, which could really be fun. The first to choose where you're going to sit, the first to order, the first to taste whatever you're eating, and just make it fun. And then have a whole conversation about firsts. Write down a list. I just gave you some. First kiss, first dance, first crush, first prom, first grade, first breakup. Ask her about a first job, first paycheck, first car, first bad grade. It's all stored in the vault of her memory. So there you go. If you want to go deeper, here's a few more questions that you could ask her. Okay, this one is going to be a little bit more leading with vulnerability. But you can lead the way by first being the first to ask her, do you remember the first time you felt loved by me? Do you have a picture? Do you have a memory when you remember first feeling loved by me? Okay, right? It's a little bit deeper of a question because it has to do with the two of you. Another question could be, do you remember the first time I hurt your feelings? Or maybe the first time I disappointed you and didn't keep my end of the bargain, or I didn't keep a promise. So see, you can lead the way, Dad, by doing a whole theme conversation with her about firsts, then leading the way into positive and negative ways that you have impacted her. First to love her, and then maybe the first to have disappointed or hurt her. What you may be surprised to hear is that she may remember one of those firsts, and it's long past your memory. You don't even remember that first time you ever yelled at her or got angry with her. That's another one you could ask is, do you remember the first time I got angry with you? And on the off chance that is still tender to her, you can then follow up with amends, which is one of my first things that I'm going to be talking to you about in the first list, is be the first to make amends. So you have an opportunity here, Dad, to find out potentially about a hurt that she may still carry that maybe has gone unspoken or unaddressed, but by you initiating in being the first one to ask about that first hurt, you may be able to then say, will you forgive me? So that's why I'm talking about this here at the beginning of this year, so that you have a mindset even throughout the whole year. And you can recheck in with yourself in December of this year to say, how did I do this year in making a priority, which is another first, right? Every time we have a priority list, we got something first and we got something second, we got something third. But to put way up there at the top of your list, the concept of being the first to step up, to step in, to step out in leading her in conversations that make a difference and that leave a lifelong impact. That's why I wanted to really highlight this idea on the front end of the year of what does it look like to be the first. Okay, now that I've whet your appetite, I'm going to start this list of 21 things and we'll be off to the races, like I said earlier. Okay, so Dad, what if you, number one, were the first to tell your daughter this next year that you love her every single day, whether in writing, face-to-face, and when I say writing, it could be a text, it could be a note, it could be a letter, or you do a video. If she doesn't live where you live, or you've always heard me talk about write something on the mirror, wherever you are, if you don't live where she lives, take a picture and then send that to her. But what if you had a mindset this year to be the first to start every day for 1 year and watch the impact? Now, every day you may not want to say, I love you, Dad loves you, because you may think, okay, she'll get tired of hearing the same thing. Why not do it as an experiment? And you set a goal every single day to let her know you love her so that she never has to wonder if you do. Therefore, if she's busy, she knows you love her. If she's not busy, she knows you love her. And she may call that being lazy, whether she's close to you or whether she's far away. But you could do this as an experiment this year to be the first every day in some way, shape, or form to let your daughter know you love her. And it could just be I'm praying for you, love you. So it doesn't even always have to be the I love you message, but it's some statement that has the word love in it. Okay, that's one way. What about if you were to focus on be the first to choose kindness because it's a virtue that you want to see more of in her life? So perhaps if you have a daughter that you think, okay, she is not so keen on stepping up and admitting her lack of kindness to her siblings. And so you think to yourself then, Dad, how can you model the very thing you want to see more in her life? So if she's struggling with anger, you've got to ask yourself, am I the first to address that in my own life? So I'm going to be weaving this concept of firsts all through this entire conversation. So is that one convicting at all? If you're really dealing with a tough area in your daughter's life, in fact, my dad calls that the laws of the harvest, where he has said, Michelle, you're more of a perfectionist than I am. He's like, it's like I planted that seed, but now it's reaping even more harvest in you. And it wasn't a positive, right? But here's what I want to say to you, is that if you see something in your daughter here at the beginning of the year, make that a matter of focus and ask yourself, how am I doing in that area? Is she more of that than I am? Be the first to admit that. Be the first to step up. But this particular one, I'm saying be the first to choose kindness, because that is a virtue. Not only is it a fruit of the Spirit, but it's a virtue that makes such a difference in the lives of daughters, because you're modeling to them the behavior that you want to see them and see her live out in her own life. Okay, next one. Be the first to set the bar high in modeling what a good man looks like, so that all other men will be compared to you. Got it? Be the first to model to her what a good man looks like. So you're setting that bar high so that all other men will be compared to you. And I've, again, been in the trenches 45 years with women, counseling for 30. Sometimes women say, I'm choosing the exact opposite of my dad. I don't want anything like him because it was so negative. And then often, you know what I see and hear is after the 2-month honeymoon period wears off, she realizes, wow, he's a lot like my dad. And the things that he does drive me crazy, or he gets angry just like my dad did, but he didn't seem like that at first. So the way that you can run interference on the kinds of men your daughter chooses is be the dad. Be the first to model healthy male virtues, character, those kinds of qualities that you want to see in the guy she chooses, by being the first to model what that looks like to be a good man. Next one, be the first to tell her you're sorry. Now, I told you earlier I was going to highlight this one on making amends. So it's not only telling her you're sorry, but it's owning your part first and then making amends when you say you're sorry and ask forgiveness. Dad, if you only did this one, it would make a huge difference, a positive difference in your relationship with your daughter this year. And that's why I titled this today, Be the First to Lead and Love and the First to Forgive. Modeling forgiveness to your daughter, not only what it is for you to forgive her, but it's even modeling that at times you may not feel like you want to forgive because your heart is still hurting over how she hurt you or how she spoke to you or how she disrespected you. But it's also giving out to her, forgiving her for ways she's hurt you, and then modeling to her how she can forgive you for hurting her. So it's both ways, it's both and. Okay, we're going to take a quick break. When I come back, we'll continue this conversation about how you as a dad can be the first in this next new year. We'll be right back.
Are you a dad who has ever desired a deeper connection with your daughter, but haven't known how to go about it? Let's Talk Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters is the very resource you need. Dr. Michelle wrote it with you dads in mind. This book will support you with scripted questions, equip you to decode your daughter, and inspire you with stories of other dads and daughters. Don't wait any longer to be the hero you want to be and that your daughter needs you to be. So, to let the talking begin, head on over to drmichellewatson.com/books and order your copy today. This book will become a favorite in your fathering toolbox and will give you the answers you've been looking for. That's drmichellewatson.com/books. Now, back to the Dad Whisperer podcast.
Welcome back. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, and here today on your mark is be the first to lead in love and the first to forgive. And the last one that I highlighted on how you can be the first right before we went to break is, I'm just going to review that one because it's so important, is be the first to tell her you're sorry, to own your part and make amends. Huge game changer when it comes to you modeling humility like that as a dad. And that is actually the next one. Be the first to model what humility looks like in action. So it does mean that you oftentimes are serving rather than waiting to be served, right? We read that Jesus did that in Philippians 2. He modeled what it looked like to be a servant leader. So humility in action is willing to do things that maybe no one else wants to do, that you're the one, cleaning out the trap in that, yucky dumpster in that part of the house or in the toilet, or you're the one to clean the floor or do that errand or take the trash out. And again, you're training your kids by example, right? How to be healthy men and women. But for your daughter, when it comes to showing her what humility looks like, be the first to do that. Next one, be the first to lead the way in teaching her what respect and healthy boundaries look like. So I've had so many dads that say, respect is the top of my list. And oftentimes you men will get upset when you say, you are disrespecting your mother. No child of mine is going to be talking to their mother that way or to me. And you hold respect up as a high virtue. But I want to ask you, how are you doing in being the first in showing her respect? Right? So you want to make sure when you're modeling healthy boundaries to her, it's saying yes and no, right? That's self-respect. Hey, I'm way too tired. I'm not going to keep saying yes to requests when I'm past the point of exhaustion. That's a healthy boundary, right? So be the first to say to your daughter, it's okay to say no. It's okay to disappoint your friends because you're too exhausted and need to stay home. Hey, I'm going to show you what it looks like to respect because I'm not going to yell at you for yelling at your brother, right? I'm going to model respect and say right now, I'm very disappointed. I'm going to speak calm. You want to be the first, Dad, to model and lead the way in teaching her what respect and healthy boundaries look like. Okay, next one. Be the first to show her that strong men can cry. I could even have said real men cry. I mean, I love that story in John 11 where Jesus shows that he cried. His friend Lazarus died. Lazarus, I should say. So we read right there, shortest verse in the Bible. Jesus wept. Strongest man, right? Whoever lived, my goodness, crucified on a cross, suffered, and died in our place. Jesus models that real men, strong men, can cry. So let yourself connect with that within yourself and let your daughter see that real men cry. She will be drawn more to a tender, sensitive man because you were the first to show her what that looks like in action. Okay, next one. Be the first to write her notes telling her what you find special about her. Now, you may be a man who says, yeah, I'm not so good at that. I'm not really a positive communicator or a uplifter. I'm not really the one to highlight positives, or maybe I'm good verbally, I'm not good in writing. But the positive thing about writing is that she can save your notes. I've done that with my dad. I do that with my husband. I've saved notes from clients. I love when someone puts something in writing. So why not this year? Maybe it's even a once a month goal, but be the first to write notes that tell your daughter what you find special about her. And if you have young daughters, let her start to collect them at a very young age because you were the first to give her those positive words of affirmation so that she doesn't go looking for love, quote unquote, from all the wrong places and all the wrong places from guys that will be the first, if you haven't done it, to tell her things about her. And she may sometimes go to, as I call it, the dudes and the duds because she didn't hear it from dad. So there you go. Be the first to write notes telling her what you find special about her. And if you're in a tough place with her, you might have to dig really deep and say, what I find special about you is that you make your bed every day. You're like, I don't think she's treating her siblings well or me or her mom well, but she does that. I'm going to highlight that. Okay, got it? Next one. Be the first to take her on an adventure. So I think of my friend Lori. In fact, we went to high school together. Salerno Maldonado, long last name. She and I just reconnected here recently. We see each other every few years in Atlanta. We all connected. And one of my favorite stories is that her dad knew that as a firstborn, she had an adventurous spirit. She loved things that were on the edge and risky, and she's still that way. Her dad taught her to speak with no notes. She speaks around the country, leads women, hundreds and thousands of women, and has for most of her adult life on adventures of truth and truth seeking. So her dad, as a little girl, would wake her up in the night sometimes and say, he was a pastor, "Hey, I just got a call to go to the hospital. Do you want to go with me?" And she would go, "Yeah." But he goes, "Don't tell Mom. It's our adventure." And she said, of course, I knew later that Mom always knew. And then he was the first to take her to breakfast in the morning. But he would say, "You got to still go to school." She goes, "I'm up for it, Dad." So he was the first to capture her hunger for mystery and adventure and, I would say, risk-taking in a way. Like, hey, you'll go to school tired, but you got to be on mission. You got to go with me to the hospital and care for someone in our congregation that needed some extra prayer and attention. Isn't that cool? So her dad was the first to take her on adventures. Find things that your daughter loves to do and find ways to support that goal for her. Next, be the first to buy her a just because treat, right? Get her a Starbucks. Get her a mug at Starbucks. Maybe you know she loves Ulta and you ask Mom, "What could I go get her?" And you just buy her a just because treat. A way to say, "I just want you to know I love you today and I care about what you care about." Next one, be the first to take her out for an extravagant meal. In fact, I remember my dad, when I was 16, he said, "You can't date a guy until I'm the first one to take you out. I'm going to open your door. I'm going to show you what this feels like." And he took me to a really nice German restaurant with fondue and tablecloths and a waiter that came up like it was way nicer than I'd ever been to. I always, look at it, I'm telling you about it here all these years, decades later. I still remember that. My first date was with my dad, and it was an extravagant meal, and it went all the way into my heart, and I still remember it today. So if you've never taken your daughter on a really nice one-on-one date, not that the whole family goes out like for Christmas or Easter, but take her on a one-on-one date where she knows you made reservations even just for the two of you. Next one, be the first to wipe her tears and hold her in your arms when her life goes sideways. So that one kind of goes hand in hand with you showing her that strong men cry. But this is really you staying in a place where you wipe her tears when she's having a meltdown. Hold her if she'll let you in her arms to comfort and soothe her when her life goes sideways. Next one, be the first to listen rather than lecture. Now, I know your default may be to speak into her life and to tell her where she went wrong and to cheer her on. I've often encouraged you as men to ask your daughter, is this a listening session or is this a give input session, Or maybe you want to say listen and lecture because they both start with the letter L. Ask her which it is, because she may not, after a good cry, be able to tell you what you want to hear or put words to it. And that's why this one kind of goes hand in hand with the one before. If she's been crying, remember, listen before lecturing, because she may not have a capacity to take in anymore. So be the first to listen rather than lecture. Next one, be the first to hold her anger. I put hold her anger in quotes, without reacting harshly in return. Now, I know it's easy to retaliate, to get, riled up and your midbrain gets on fire. All of ours do. But remember, be the first this year to say, I'm going to hold her anger. I can talk later, correct later, but now's probably not the time. We have all got to calm down. And instead of reacting harshly in return, be the first to show her what it looks like to have self-control around anger. Next one, be the first to initiate deep conversations about spirituality, about God, about faith, about even politics or goals or your life growing up. Be the first to go deeper in conversation. Lead that way. That's why in Let's Talk, Conversation Starters for Dads and Daughters, I've got lots of ways that you can lead first into deeper conversations, especially that's in the look section and the listen, and the lament. That end of the book will give you lots of ways to go deeper with your daughter, and there's a resource for you that goes with that one. Next one, be the first to model a healthy spiritual life so she can follow your example. Show her what that looks like. And I have another one that I put here on the list, which is be the first to show her how to make God first in your life. So that goes hand in hand with that one is let her see you on your knees in prayer. Let her see you reading the Bible. Let her see you journaling about what you're learning. Let her see or know that you have a group of men you get together with to read the Bible together or to pray together or to bear each other's burdens together. Let her know those things because remember, more is caught than taught. Next one, be the first to give of your time and energy to serve. It may be to serve her, others, her mom, even if you're divorced. Let her see that you're a servant, that you're the first to give of your time and your energy when there's a need, even to serve her. What could I do for you? Could I make your bed for you today? Because I know you're running late, right? I know you forgot your lunch. I'm going to bring it to school for you. I'm serving you because you know what she's going to know? It probably was an inconvenience, but it shows how much you love her. Next one, be the first to invest in launching her dreams by funding a project that she's passionate about. Whoa, there's one that's practical, putting your money where your mouth is. Put your money into funding a project that she's passionate about because you're helping to launch her dreams. Next one, be the first to applaud her successes from the front row. Probably means you have to either change your schedule or get out of work. And I know most of you probably do that one already, and I'm applauding you now for applauding her. But be mindful this year. How can you be the first to applaud her successes right there from the front row? Which is really more figurative. You might be in the 10th row, but you're right there in the room cheering her on. Next one, be the first to apologize, which I kind of shared that one a little bit before, but it goes hand in hand with being the first to forgive, as I said earlier, when your feelings are hurt, especially if she's caused you pain. So that one really is a 2-for-1. I talked about it a little bit earlier. Be the first to forgive. Be the first to admit your part. But that whole idea of showing her what forgiveness in action looks like is only going to happen when there's been hurt, right? Not that being hurt is a free pass for hurting back. And so you as a dad get to be the first in modeling, as I said earlier, self-control, self-restraint. And that is a way that I think segues into this last one, as I just said earlier, where you're showing her how to make God first, make the word of God first. Because you're saying, I don't have self-control in and of myself. I'm asking God to do that for me because it's a fruit of the Spirit. And all of that leads the way then into what Matthew 6:33 says is seek first God's kingdom and his righteousness, and all these things will be added unto you. So even God is challenging us, right? To seek him first over all else. And that is one of the most important things you can do as a dad, is to model a first love of God over work, over hobbies. But that when you put God first, he's saying here, everything else comes with it. Last thing I want to say is why be the first? You know why? It's the best way to show your daughter what love looks like in action. Better yet, like I said, she'll relate to all other men based on what she first experiences with you. So you've got this whole year to decide which one of these firsts do you want to commit to? Are you going to be the first to soften your tone, first to apologize, first to make amends? If you commit here on the front end to make this a year of being the first, I guarantee this will be a game changer, a strengthener for your relationship with your daughter. So now for go, I'm going to read through the whole list because some of these, I wove them together. I went back and forth. So just to make sure you've got it clear in your mind, I want you to pick one or two in this list that you for your action step will commit to doing this week. Are you ready? Here goes. Be the first to tell her you love her every single day, so she never has to wonder if you do. 2, be the first to choose kindness. because it's a virtue you want her to exemplify. 3, be the first to set the bar high in modeling what a good man looks like, so all other men will be compared to you. 4, be the first to tell her you're sorry, because it means you've owned your part and you're making amends. 5, be the first to lead the way in teaching her what respect and healthy boundaries look like. 6, be the first to show her that strong men cry. 7, be the first to model what humility really looks like. Number 8, be the first to write her a note every day telling her what you find special about her. And on that one, you don't have to do every day, but be the first. Maybe once a month was my suggestion. Be the first maybe that's one of the goals. Every first day of every month this year, be the first to write her a note about what you find special about her. Number 9, be the first to take her on an adventure. And if you've already done it last year, be the first this year to brainstorm with her about an adventure. Number 10, be the first to buy her a just because treat. 11, be the first to take her out for an extravagant meal. Number 12, be the first to wipe her tears and hold her in your arms when her life goes sideways. Number 13, be the first to listen rather than lecture, right? 2 ears, 1 mouth. And remember, you can ask her, is this a listening session or a fix-it session? Be the first, number 14, to hold her anger without reacting harshly in return. Number 15, be the first to initiate deep conversations about things like spirituality and God and faith. It may even be politics or goals or even about your life growing up. Number 16, be the first to model a healthy spiritual life so that she can follow your example. Number 17, be the first to give of your time and energy to serve others and her and your family. Number 18, be the first to invest in launching her dreams by funding a project she is passionate about. Number 19, be the first to applaud her successes from the front row or any row in the building. Number 20, be the first to forgive when your feelings are hurt and your heart aches, especially if she's caused you pain. And number 21, be the first to show her how to make God first in her life. So there you go, Dad. 21 ways. On your mark today has been be the first to lead in love and the first to forgive. Well, I trust that you will take 1 or 2 in the list of 21 and be ready for your action step to put them into action this week. As always, you can write me at drmichelle@thedadwhisperer.com, and I want to hear what things you commit to and then what kind of follow through you have, and then what kind of response you get from your daughter. I'm in it with you. Well, this wraps up another week's program. I've loved being here with you, especially at the start of this year. I'm Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield, the Dad Whisperer, signing off and encouraging you to make today a day where you intentionally and consistently invest in pursuing your daughter's heart. Go Dads.
Thanks for joining us for another edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield. If you're looking for more resources to support the father-daughter relationship, or if you want to connect personally with Dr. Michelle, you can find all the information you need at drmichellewatson.com. That's drmichellewatson.com. And remember, you can listen to the Dad Whisperer podcast anytime on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Stitcher, and Google Podcasts. And while you're there, we'd love for you to subscribe and leave us a review. Thanks for joining us today, and we'll see you again on the next edition of the Dad Whisperer podcast with Dr. Michelle Watson Canfield.